Where'd Michael go? Did he go to the ocean? Oh, there we go. Is that a Sean Connery hat?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I like it.
Cyber.
Excellent. Hey, everyone. Welcome. We're glad you're here. So we're actually in our fourth week of these summer sprints with Foster Commerce. It's us. We're building a few things and we're sharing about them publicly. If you're just now catching us, my name is Stephen Callender. I'm the owner of Foster Commerce, and
I'm Darrik Moberg. I'm the current head of engineering at Foster Commerce.
I'm Michael Van Dorth, and I am a senior front-end and back-end engineer at Foster Commerce.
we are building a few things. Our team, and here we're talking about them. We're trying to map them out. So like these conversations are conversations, we're really having about where are we, what are we doing, the real status kind of check-ins a bit for us. So we've talked about just introing what we're doing this summer. We've talked about our variant manager, which we'll also circle back to at one point. We've already talked about our Foster checkout at one point and kind of gave an idea of that. And then we're back to talk about Foster checkout again. And we're going to, we also talked about commerce reports. So commerce reports was something we talked about last week. How could I forget? This week, we're back to talk about Foster checkout, and we're going to show you Foster checkout in its current status and kind of go from there. So our dream of Foster checkout is essentially to have as much of a plug and play kind of classic, just install it, configure it a bit, and then it can work kind of checkout system, so that if you're developing a craft commerce site, you don't have to worry about the cart and checkout page, or at least the bulk of the work of it, that you can just have it up and running and working. A lot of merchants, especially when you have off-the-shelf systems, the cart and checkout are things you don't really have to work on. You don't even have to design them. Everybody has the same look and all that stuff. So we're wanting to build just kind of an easy to use, accessible, conversion-focused checkout that you can just drop in, maybe make some tweaks, configurations, and be off and running, and don't even have to worry about it. That's where we're headed. And so we're making our way, and we're going to learn a little bit more. So Michael, Darrik, you want to guide me if we talk about what's the current status?
Let's jump in the demo. We'll show people what we have. That's probably the easiest way to talk through the current status. After that, we can kind of jump through our roadmap.
Okay. We'll start at the cart page. We've already added a couple things to the cart. So here I am. You want to talk me through this a bit?
Well, this is like we said, this is Foster checkout, but it also includes a cart page. So it's, I don't know if we changed the name to Foster checkout cart, or I don't know. So yeah, you had some items here added to the cart. You can change the quantities, and there will be the price updates automatically, the subtotals and totals. We're making calls back quick to commerce, so that gets updated without a page refresh. Right now, so from here you could go to either go to whatever the product page is, or you can go through the checkout process, click through the checkout, or you can remove an item as well from the cart, and that also updates the subtotal prices. And the way we went into this, using, as we said, I think in a previous episode where we talked about this, we're using petite view, so make it really light to go in, and it is hitting the craft endpoints for update cart as you normally would with like a twig template, but instead of actually doing page refreshes, it just gets the data back as JSON. So we decided to take advantage of that and do it that way without having a page refresh. So that's from there. So you want to go to the checkout step?
Sure.
This is just sort of your standard cart page. And on the checkout step here, we also have the cart. It's on the right, and it works the same as it is on the cart page, where you can update the values, and all of that subtotals will update as well. And the first step that we get to, the sort of thing we're asking for, of course, is the email address. We discussed in the last episode on this, is that if there's an email address, this is the place to start.
Yeah.
There you go. So it looks like you've already got an account with us. Log in to make your checkout process quicker, and then so you could pick the login, and it should open up a login modal, allowing you to log in with the address that exists.
Okay.
That would be,
No
and then you're
address.
immediately taken to the address. step. So of course,
Okay.
if you're already logged in, it's going to take you straight to the address section. And from here, you can go in and start filling in your address.
Now we get to test if this works because I just fixed that yesterday or like last week.
Here
Nice.
you only have one shipping method set up in Commerce, but if you had multiple ones, it would you could update them, and that would update the subtotals as well in the cart. But yes, if you want to go back to the return addresses, you can see that the address is saved since you're logged in. So it's saving your address, the address management. You can edit it if you want.
Yeah, that.
Oop, there's a bug.
There's where you can call me. What is it? 8
undefined
86753.
09.
309. Yeah, 309. That's what it is. 8675309. There we go. Label shipping. Oh, is that something? So if I change this to like my house.
Yeah, you could do that. It's just the default for that is
Yeah, this is a Craft. That's a Craft. The label's a Craft commerce feature. We're currently not really using it in the cart, but we should really consider it so that people can label and see the labels on their addresses. But
okay,
it's something we get in the edit because Craft like lets you label them. So, oh, this reminds me of another bug with autofill, in that the state province does not get autofilled.
got it. All right. Phone number still 65309. I just want to see what it looks like if we have the 2 in there to choose between New York and there. Cool. So you can't delete it if you have it selected. Nice. Awesome. I noticed the email step went away up there too.
Because you're logged in.
As I logged in. That's right. Got it. Okay, cool.
It's smarter than you.
It's true. It's true. Okay. So now I'm here. Got to check. I want to mail in.
This is the step that the final step that we need to work on to get finished, bringing in the payment forms from Craft for the different gateways. But we do have the billing. Darrik, that was one of the things that we did fix, right? Or put in the billing address. Just having some problems. It wasn't saving.
Yeah, those aren't links yet. It's in the list.
Okay. All right.
And then if you pay, I think it'll just take you back to the beginning of the flow right now because it's not actually connected to. Yep. So it starts you over.
Oh, look, I have images now.
For everyone watching, we had issues with the images not loading for not logged in users, and so
it's a bug we have to look at. It's one of the configuration things. Now the Faucet checkout comes with a accompanying plugin, which has a configuration setting on that. So of course, every craft site, however you're setting up your products, product types and stuff like that, and where you're putting that image, that's a variable from site to site. We can't just say it's going to be this file. So there's a configuration within the plugin itself where you can specify which image files to use for which product type, and if you want to use the image on the variant or on the product level to show up as the preview image.
Cool.
That's one of the.
And when we set this up, so how much configuration did it take for this one for us to install? Like how much effort was there to install it on this site? Was there to get that kind of up and running?
Well, we had some Git problems. So in the demo site there that we had with plugins directory being ignored. But aside from that, it's just a matter of dropping in the templates in the template folder, installing the plugin, and then configuring, which is just a basic plugin config file within the configs folder for now. Later on down the road, we could maybe provide a UI for it within the control panel. But for now, since we're thinking the majority of the setups that are going to be happening here are actually developers who just want to get this done. So they really don't need, they just give them a config file and they should be pretty good to go. And the configuration on this is mostly has to do with branding. So we have following some Tailwind sort of ideas. We have a primary color with like steps of 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 to get these different scale of a color for the theme. Set a background color, the font is a Google font. And that's also set up within the configuration file as well. A logo. Yeah, there you go. You see the branding. There's a color array with the different colors set up. The background color, that's the full thing for the site. The font, as of now, we're relying on Google fonts. A logo, so the logo showed up in the top left of that demo that we're showing. So this is the place where you can just put the path of the logo where you want that you want to show up. We also have these options for header and footer, where if you have a twig partial for your header and your footer for your site, you can fill those in and they will show up above and below. So it doesn't look like a completely jumping to a new site. You just have to place the path here to your header and footer includes or partials. And then we have these other ones for CSS and JS. This is for importing any CSS and JS from the site itself that needs to happen in order to make these the header and footer to work. So that's the reason for there. The paths is another configuration. So the default is what we have here is checkout, cart, cancel. These are the paths sort of overrides that it goes through. We could set these up in Craft's paths as well, but we figured want to put them all in here and make it one place really easy. So this goes in and ensures that these are the routes to the different sections. This right now we just have checkout, cart, template setup, and then the products array. This is for where you would put in your definitions for each of your product types within commerce, and then the fields that are used for the preview images, and then the plugin finds those fields as they're expressed there in the template and outputs that data there.
Awesome.
I had a question for both y'all because I am not as familiar with Craft. Is there a way that we can make it so people don't have to copy and paste the templates into their site? Like, can we have the plugin have them installed somewhere, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, we could serve them actually straight from the plugin itself. That's one way. Right now, since we're kind of working, it's easier for us to develop just by having them right now in the template directory where we can work on them, work out all the bugs. Once we've got all that, then we can go look at going in and just like including it in the template, and it will automatically pull those from there. We can go that route. The other option is kind of like to go with some of the plugins that have demo sort of content. You have to install it, and then it will copy it into the template folder. But
okay, as we start talking about the roadmap and stuff, like that's a useful feature to have, I think, because like, oh no, you got to download this thing separately. It just doesn't feel like a good developer experience for us. But it makes sense while we're still working on it if it's easier.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be a way, because one of the things that will be interesting, I know I'm getting ahead and like talking about roadmap a little bit, but like one of the things that will be interesting is somebody who does want to extend this, and they want to extend it in a way that, maybe we don't support yet. And so like, how much does, can you then put it inside your own templates and then just kind of work on it and pull it out of the plugin? So that way, if you update the plugin, it doesn't kind of introduce breaking changes, then you can kind of be selective of like copy and paste in some of the updates in there. That'll be an interesting thing. I think about like the Soul Space Freeform, for example, they come with a lot of pre-built templates and a lot of things that you can optionally use, but as soon as you start going custom, then any updates they make to that, then you have to like go back and make sure that you update that. So it might be a similar situation, which is fine. I mean, it kind of works. It depends on which path, you want to create for yourself. So for what's coming up next, how about we show a little bit about what we've discovered of what we're doing next. All right. So I think because we've got to figure out. So part of this is we want to release this also for a site this month, right? So we're using this product ourselves, and we want to use it on a site to be released and go live, sometime in the next month or two. And so we've got a punch list of things that we're trying to work on. How about we just kind of show that a little bit, talk about that, where we are, do that punch list. All right. So this is our to-do list basically for known tasks, work that we want to do on our current foster checkout system. And if this is base camp, this is where we work, because we're kind of live all day and kind of looking at things. So obviously, if you're looking at this, you've never seen this before, and so just give a quick tour so you kind of know what you're looking at. Is we have these little status groups here that basically are kind of Kanban steps, and so as tasks move through their life cycle, they kind of move up the ladder here into these different stages. And so all of this is stuff that's kind of been done. And then we've got things down here. Most of this work down here is stuff that has been defined through this review. So Darrik, you did an accessibility review of this whole checkout process and created a lot of tasks in here for us to fix. And there's some other things that are just work that we have to do anyway. And so we have our current known tasks. There's probably more we're going to add later in here. We can maybe at some other point describe what all these little emojis mean. They don't just mean that we love desserts, even though we do, but they have real meaning. But for now, you can kind of ignore all that and just kind of read the words and go from there, essentially, get a sense of what's on our plate. But how are we feeling about this list? Is this list kind of representative of our current status and like the things that we're working on next?
Yeah, I think so. So like you mentioned, I made a bunch of these things during the accessibility review. And that's where I uncovered some bugs, right? So you can see that we label our bugs with a nice little bug emoji. And then we also sort of have some bigger tasks. So one of them is that currently all of the steps, you can only move through them linearly because they're all kind of rendered on the client through Petite View. We want to go back and make them each an individual like twig template so that you can navigate through them on the server. So we can actually link to each section step. So like if you're at the last step, you need to change your shipping address or whatever, it's really easy to click back and go do that. And then there's some stuff in the on hold that's related to things for the client implementation that we're waiting for, or things that we want to extra design on. And you can also see down in the shaping, there's stuff that we have an internal designer that we want to kind of take a look at this. And so those are things that we want to either talk about internally and see if we should toss them in front of the designer. And then other stuff that I just want to go back to after that I encountered during the accessibility review, and I want to recheck and redescribe so that a dev can pick them up.
And I do know, and kind of one of the things that was alluded to a little bit in here, one of the things that we are going to do as well is to make sure that this is a really solid user experience. And we're going to do that based on Baymard research. So with all Baymard's guidelines, so there might be some changes even on the way it looks now that we just make. I would expect that we're going to have some layout changes. We're going to have possibly some workflow changes as well, based on some of those things, or some extra like tool tips and other things that might be helpful. And so that's also on our roadmap, because again, our big picture is we love craft and craft commerce. We love just building things with great tools that don't create black boxes of code that we can't touch. And so we like being able to generate all that stuff. And we're hoping to just make craft commerce a little bit more accessible for people who aren't in e-commerce always, and so don't always know how to build a cart page, or don't always know how to do a checkout page, or any of that stuff. So hopefully we can take that burden away from you. Great. So thanks for joining us and listening to us talk through this Foster checkout. And next time we're going to be with a special guest, or at least we think, as long as schedules continue to work out, we'll have a special guest to talk about them and the mini headless start, which is basically the redo of the .all headless thing we did last year. So we'll have that Nux 3 headless build to talk about a bit. So that'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you subscribe and join us. But if you have questions or comments about anything we've talked about today about Foster checkout, please feel free to leave a comment here on our YouTube channel. We'd love to know what you're most interested in. And especially as we go about, we'll take feedback and kind of try to address things for anyone. If you haven't signed up yet to our email list, go ahead and do that to receive our weekly newsletter. And when you sign up to our newsletter, you'll be the first to know when we've dropped another one of these videos. Also, your name will be entered into a drawing at the end of our summer sprints, where we'll be giving away one of our brand new Foster Commerce t-shirts. So sign up and use the link in the video description below, and that will get you there. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Are you still here? Get out of here. Go away.